And so that should be testable. It should be predictable from a DNA test. If we could locate indeed a target potential Steiner to test such a thing on.
But for any connections to be made, a database must exist, full of samples built from the ground up.
The Federation of Genealogical Societies held a national meeting in Salt Lake City in September of 2000, and I attended that. One of the booths was a group of students from Brigham Young University soliciting volunteers to donate blood for a DNA genealogical study they were conducting. And so I volunteered. And surprisingly, that was the very first solicitation of that group off of the campus. So, I got to be one of the pioneers, one of the early submitters of my DNA to this project.
Over the years, I was able to invent a small device that allowed us to collect DNA through mouthwash. So people now just rinse some mouthwash in their mouth and we collect the DNA that way. So that was kind of like one of the milestones that I'm pretty proud of, through the years. No more needles and going to saliva.
While Garry and Dick were tested by SMGF, Darrell initially tested his DNA with another group.
I did a DNA test and was looking for some matches. Unfortunately, found that I had no close matches and really nobody with the Polly surname in the database. So I started looking for alternate databases, someplace where maybe I could find some information. And I went to the Sorensen database and punched in my markers, and up pops this match to a gentleman that could trace back to a man named Joseph Polly, spelled differently, but obviously, Polly. And I was able to confirm several additional markers beyond what I had from my initial test, and the match held. Again, there's only one marker, even when we get the additional markers in, there's only one marker difference that confirmed to me where his ancestry came from. It confirmed that hey, they're coming out of the same area that I've been looking at, trying to match up with. I do tie into the area that I've been looking for, so I know to focus my research further into that area.
Dick Hacken's own search has come to a somewhat different conclusion. After having his DNA analyzed, he has been unable to confirm any matches. So for now, he is unable to verify a connection to the Steiner name. As DNA databases grow, the possibilities of finding a match may present themselves. Despite this setback for Dick, he was able to get results on his haplogroup, or general genetic background. Haplogroups are used to estimate the origins of your ancestry geographically, and Dick finds the results fascinating.
For instance, on my father's side, what they call haplogroup is a group that is centered around Morocco, Western Algeria, or was generations and generations ago, and that a lot of them then migrated across the Mediterranean to southern Europe, and apparently, in my ancestors' case, ended up in Switzerland before immigrating to the United States.
Knowing the geographical origins of your ancestors is a powerful thing. For Garry Bryant, his goal is to confirm whether or not his family originates from Ireland. Following his stroke, he felt the need to form an O'Brien clan society, which put him in touch with Irish descendants around the country.
At the highest point, I had 75 people who were members of the society. One of the very first people to answer that call was a fellow from Buffalo, New York, by the name of Kevin O'Brien. And he was very helpful. I mean, this guy had paper researched his genealogy back to 1760 in Ireland. Plus, he had the surname O'Brien. So a year ago, I got a phone call from Kevin O'Brien. And Kevin goes on and says, well, in the last few years, I've been doing this DNA researching. And I've submitted it to different companies, trying to find out, gather more information. And he goes, so I was at this one site, the Sorensen site. And he goes, so I'm going through their database, and I noticed this pedigree. And I remember you had a few different surnames, and I remember those. So he showed me where on the internet to go, and he goes, now click on matches. And so I clicked on matches. And the first three of this heading of 13 matches was O'Brien of Ireland, 3737. And the next was Bryant, Colorado, 3737. I go, well, that's mine. That's me. And he goes, okay, yeah, there's your markers. And he goes, now what's the next one? And I go, well, it's O'Brien, Ireland, 3737. And he goes, yeah, that's me. We are cousins. We share a common ancestor. You're not an English Bryant. You're an O'Brien through and through. And with this DNA research, I have regained back my birthright. I've gained back my identity. The only problem is my wife won't let me change my name back. She says they changed it for a reason, and there it is.
Y chromosome and other methods of DNA analysis continue forward, helping us realize our genetic heritage as members of the human family. By looking back to where we come from and who our ancestors were, we better understand ourselves and appreciate the people around us.